started to create the timeline for the intro sequence on one of my video ads. Let's have a quick look.
Life as a man is all walking about. It's like a video game. You start from absolute nothing. You start from zero. You have no intrinsic value, and it's up to you to level up your skills.
And what I want to do in this lesson is cover some of the editing tools that are presented to you in the timeline for CapCut. The very first thing I want you to notice is if you have a clip selected, towards the top of the timeline you have a set of tools. If I click off a clip, you notice these tools have disappeared. So when accessing certain tools that I'll be describing throughout this lesson, ensure that you have your clip selected. Over towards the left hand side you have a drop down menu which gives you 4 tools and the keyboard shortcuts. The first tool being select, and this allows you to move your clips around on the timeline. Towards the right hand side of the timeline you have a feature called track magnet. If I click this on, what this allows you to do is automatically snap and delete the spaces within your cuts. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and you'll see that my timeline will change dramatically. Now ignore the timeline. What I actually want to do is show you the function of the magnet, and the best way for me to do this is remove everything. I'm going to highlight all the audio tracks, hit backspace, highlight the other 2 tracks I've got above, hit backspace, and let's just say this is the clip that we've dragged into our timeline. With the magnet turned on, I'm going to go ahead and start splitting and deleting this track, which leads us onto our second tool. Again, in the drop down menu, or if you press B, it will give you the split tool. You can see that the mouse icon has turned into a razor, and if you hover it over your timeline video clip, you can see this yellow line that allows you to create splits in your timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and just start picking little sections that I'd like to split. There you go. I'll click A on the keyboard to go back to my select icon, and if I click on this particular split that I've made and hit backspace, you notice that the track automatically fills the gap. Let me show you again. Command Z to get the original split and hit backspace to delete. Boom. I'm going to hit Command Z again, and this time I'm going to turn the magnet off, hit backspace on this particular split that we made, and the gap remains. If I delete another 2 clips, you can see we have these gaps throughout our edit, and if I hit the turn on magnet again, you'll have all the gaps closed and the clips next to one another. Now there's something that I want to mention here. Me personally, when I'm editing, I wouldn't use something like the snap magnet because it's almost a left to right editing style, and that doesn't necessarily suit my editing style in particular, because I tend to piece videos at different points within a narrative, and then where I have gaps I come back and fill those. However, if you're editing a talking head video, a podcast as such, then it might be better for you to just have the turn on magnet and start cutting and deleting certain sections. It can come in handy and save a lot of time. The next tool I want to mention, which is actually next to the turn on magnet, is a turn off or on auto snapping. This is a really cool feature. It's something that I definitely recommend everybody use within their edits. If I turn it off, what it allows me to do is take a clip and move it anywhere in the timeline without any snap feature. If I go back over to the right hand side and turn the auto snapping on, you'll see if I drag this clip and place it next to another clip, you've got this line that represents an auto snap feature. So if I let go of the clip, it'll automatically snap in place. And you can see this if I drag it around next to the clips, it'll automatically snap your video or audio in place. A really simple feature. It's very common amongst many editing softwares. I always recommend you have it turned on. It allows you to piece together cuts that you've made in a much more cleaner way. You can also, of course, create new tracks. How you do this is just drag your clip up or down, and it'll allow you to create new tracks within the CapCut timeline. And then back into the same menu towards the left hand side of the timeline, you have select leftward and select rightward, which works in a very similar way to your select tool. However, it will focus on all video and audio clips within the timeline. So if I click select leftward and then click a particular clip on my timeline, everything associated to the left of this clip will be highlighted, and then I can move it around. As you can tell, this particular clip on the right hand side and this audio on the right hand side, they've not been highlighted. If I go ahead and select right forward and click on this particular clip, we can move all these linked clips towards the right hand side of the screen. I'll press A to get off that and go back to my normal select tool. And another simple feature I'd like to show is towards the right hand side you have turn on preview axis. If you click this, you'll notice as your mouse hovers over the timeline, you have this yellow line indicator, and what that allows you to do is, rather than moving or scrubbing your playhead, whatever position your mouse is in, you'll be able to see the video clips in the player. I don't necessarily think this is a good idea to keep on. It can slow down your operating system. Therefore, I would recommend you have this off, and if you do need to check your timeline, just use the playhead and drag it across certain clips that you are particularly interested in viewing. There are, of course, more tools within the timeline, and we're going to discuss those in the next lesson.